I wanted to show just some examples Ron provides here on the website. These are all available at rjmmusic.com. And if you head to the micro line mixer page, these manuals are all a part of what is available to any customer. And he shows a couple of different versions of what's capable. I think one thing that is worth talking about is sort of the confusion of connection, because I know a lot of people that
Yeah.
see the line mixers, they're not quite sure about how they're configured because they only see these inputs for the wet. They're like, what do I do with the input into the pedal that the output of those pedals is feeding this mixer? So just to give you a visual, what you see here in terms of wet 1, 2, and 3, those are only capturing the outputs of your wet effect.
I should point out one of the things that makes this actually work is what the Mastermind PBC does in this case. And if you plug into the send jacks of the return and you leave the returns open, nothing connected to them, then effectively the loops become a splitter. So whatever effects you have in loops 1 through 3, that resultant output then gets fed to send 4, send 5, send 6, and the output in parallel. It kind of becomes a splitter. Whatever your prior effects, identical copies of that get sent to the input of your 3 wet effects here, as well as the main output. The PBC here is splitting the signal, then it's going in through all the effects, and then the micro line mixer is combining them back down again into one signal to go to your amp or amps. That's one of the key things of how this actually works. And one thing that's also, I should mention, that's nice about this is because you're not returning the effects back to the switcher, then you get the delay and reverb tail thing where when you switch off, say, loop 4, you're no longer sending your signal to the delay, but the output of the delay continues to go through the mixer and to your amplifier. You might not be getting any new delay generated. Any prior ones will be allowed to trail off without being cut off abruptly, like it would be if you wired it in series.
I have to admit that I'm a little bit embarrassed here, Ron. I am an RJM evangelist, as are the other guys. I had no idea that the 6X could be a splitter. I feel like I am a bit of a donkey here because I had no idea that you could actually send 4, 5, and 6, and presumably 1, 2, and 3. I'm not sure, but definitely 4, 5, and 6 in parallel along with the output. This is blowing my mind right now, and it opens up so much. And the reason I'm embarrassed is that this is a hardware thing and not a recent update. So I was like, oh, you recently updated to allow parallel. It's not that. This presumably was like this from the beginning. So this is a really good feature. And I assume this would be the same on the MEGX as well, correct?
Yeah. All of our switchers do this. Originally, it wasn't even an intentional thing, and it was just an artifact of how the loops were designed that it actually did that. It was much to my surprise, but it's like, but it's such a, an amazingly useful feature that we kept it in, and every switcher we've ever made does the same exact things. It's too useful to not have.
Is there a setting in the editor that you have to do so it splits it, or does it just automatically do it?
That's just a mechanical feature of the jacks. If there's nothing in the return jack, then the following loop just gets whatever signal is coming from before it. So yeah, in that example, the resultant signal of whatever you got turned on from loops 1 through 3, that's all going to work as expected. And then that end result is going to end up going out send 4, send 5, send 6, and the output. And well, the sends only if those loops are turned on. It's basically becomes a switchable splitter, I guess. And yeah, that's kind of what makes the whole thing just work.